Hey everybody, I'm Dan McClellan. I'm a scholar of the Bible and religion. The fit for this video is the X-Men cartoon. Let's take a look at a video.
3 female gods banned from the Bible.
All right, let's see it.
Asherah was the wife of God, and she was known as the mother goddess.
This is accurate according to the archaeological data that comes before the reign of King Josiah at the end of the 7th century BCE.
Her name originally appeared over 40 times in the Hebrew Bible, but she was effectively erased from the Bible when Asherah's name was removed and replaced with the word grove.
This is not accurate. There are still 40 occurrences of the Hebrew word Asherah in the Hebrew Bible. They have never been altered at all. The word groves is just what we find in early Protestant English translations. And the reason we find groves is because the majority of those 40 occurrences of the word Asherah are references to ritual objects, to divine images, and not directly to the goddess. And it is described as planted, as being chopped down, as being burned. And most scholars think that this was some kind of stylized pole or tree that represented Asherah as a budding tree. And this is what we see in the iconography from ancient Israel and the broader world of ancient Southwest Asia. Asherah was represented usually as a stylized tree, frequently with 2 ibexes feeding on either side, including this image on this jar from Lachish that dates to around the 13th century BCE. That depicts those 2 ibexes feeding on either side of a stylized tree that bears striking resemblance to a tree that we find in the temple, the menorah. Now, if you want to see a drawing of Asherah, we have the Kuntilat Ajrud drawing an inscription where we have these 2 Bes-like figures, a male and a female deity figure, and there's an inscription that was written over top of the headdress of the male figure that talks about blessings by Adonai of Shomron or Samaria and his Asherah. And some scholars think his Asherah text is referring to Asherah as the cultic image, the divine image. Others suggest that Asherata is how Asherah's name was written in inscriptional Hebrew. Others suggest that this inscription was written over top of this drawing to represent the male and the female divine figures as Adonai and his Asherah with interlinking arms. So, prior to the reign of Josiah, there doesn't seem to be much of an issue with the worship of Asherah as God's consort. It's in the reign of Josiah that we first find pushback. So, none of the negative references to Asherah in the Hebrew Bible can be confidently dated prior to the reign of Josiah. They all seem to be coming from the period of his campaign to vilify and literally demonize Asherah or after. And if you want some good discussions of Asherah, here are some publications from the last 20 years or so that you can check out.
Now, Sophia was originally mentioned in the book of Proverbs as the creative force of God.
So Sophia is a Greek word. What's in the book of Proverbs is chokhmah, and chokhmah is wisdom. And this is not necessarily the creative force of God, because in Proverbs 8, the text describes chokhmah being created by God, being procreated, being born. And when we get into the Greco-Roman period, this personified feature of God's psychology becomes further personified as it's translated into Greek as Sophia, which is already a deity in the Greek religion. And so folks interacting with the Hebrew Bible in Greek are sometimes leaning into that syncretism, that association of the Septuagint's notion of Sophia and the Greek notion of Sophia as this goddess.
However, according to Gnostic books banned by the church, Sophia is a divine being known as an eon who actually created the God of the Bible. The name Sophia means wisdom, and it's her mission to get humanity to look within to realize their own divinity.
The Gnostic literature arises from the overlaying of a Middle Platonic cosmology upon the Bible to represent the creation of the material world and its creator as kind of the JV squad moron god who goes goes out to create this material world to imprison divine spirits in material bodies. This is the Platonic idea that the fleshly world is corrupt and changing, while the divine world is immaterial, is spirit, is unchanging. And so soteriology of Gnosticism is about escaping from the fleshly prison of the world and returning to the pleroma. And the overwhelming majority of the Gnostic literature comes from the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th centuries CE, as they are taking the Jewish and Christian scriptures and then overlaying it with that Middle Platonic Gnostic cosmology and soteriology to renegotiate what they're getting.
And Jesus is sometimes seen as an emissary or an avatar of Sophia, sent to the earth to help humanity reach spiritual enlightenment.
So there are two things going on here. There is a Gnostic text called the Sophia of Jesus Christ, but we could also just translate the wisdom of Jesus Christ. A lot of scholars think that it's not using the word Sophia as the name of the goddess, but as the word wisdom. We also have Greco-Roman period Judaism, primarily represented in the philosophical works of Philo, identifying the Logos with God's wisdom. And so if you identify God's wisdom as this personified goddess Sophia, then Sophia is the Logos, which means Jesus is the Logos, so Jesus is Sophia. So there are a few different ways to arrive at this identification of Sophia with Jesus Christ.
Barbo is the supreme female deity in Gnostic Christian beliefs. She's the first emanation from the divine source and was seen as the mother of all divine beings and a powerful and nurturing figure representing the feminine aspect of the divine that's missing in modern Christianity.
So Barbo is represented as the first emanation from God in several forms of Gnostic cosmology and cosmogony, similar to the way the Logos is represented as the first emanation from God in the Logos hymn of John 1. This is a female deity figure within the Gnostic pantheon. The notion that it is missing from early Christianity suggests it was there at its origins, but that's not supported by the historical data. This is something that was overlaid on developing Christianity at a later time period.